A very good evening to all the members. I would like to invite you all today to our today's session on the very important topic of GST annual return filing, that is GSTR9 and GSTR9C. As we know, the due date for the return is approaching, so this is a very relevant topic for today's time. For having the deliberations on this topic, we have with us CA Archit Agarwal, who will be taking us through all the provisions. For introducing our today's speaker, I would like to call upon our coordinator for today, our core group member, CA Rahul Dagaji. Rahul, over to you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our today's speaker, the young and dynamic CA Archit Agarwal. He's also completed his LLB in 2015. He's a partner with SS Gupta and Associates LLP. He's working in the field of indirect taxation from past 14 years. He's been handling matters in GST, central excise, service tax, and also appearing up to the tribunal level. He's authored a book on mutuality concept published by the WIRC and has been regularly writing various articles for Tax Journal on service tax and GST matters. He has been a speaker at various seminars organized by the CA Institute and by various study circles and also at the NASIL. With this brief introduction, I'll request everyone to welcome him with a round of applause. Urvi ma'am, I'll request you to play the ICI motto song before Archit takes over.
Yes. I would like to call upon CA Archit Agarwal now to start his presentation. And I would request all the members to please post their queries in the chat box. Archit, you will be taking the queries along with the presentation or later on?
Yeah, I would prefer to take it along with the presentation.
Okay, yes.
But should we do it in chat box or they can raise the hands and then we can unmute them?
So whichever way is more comfortable.
I think that would be comfortable. Chat mein kya hota hai na, if you read, you don't understand exactly, and it takes a lot of time.
So any member who has any query can raise his hands, and then the speaker will take the queries along with the session itself.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. Should we start?
Yes.
A very good evening. A very good evening to all of you. Thank you to JB Nagar Study Circle for giving me this opportunity to present my thoughts today. As we all know that due date for 9/9C is approaching and only 34 days are left. And frankly, trust me, I don't expect for any extensions. We have seen in the past also, people last year also waited for extension and it did not come. So it is suggested that don't wait for extensions and you should start working on it immediately if I haven't started. So I'll share my screen and we'll immediately start with the topic. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So briefly, basically, section 44 is the section to file an annual return along with the with reconciliation statement, that is 9C. That is basically, earlier they used to call it as a separate form, but now it's part of the annual return itself, and it does not require any CA certification. Till 1920, the GSTR9 from 2020-21 onwards, that condition has been removed. Now an SSE can in the sense has to file 9C, that is along with annual return, self-certified itself. There is no need to get it certified from a chartered accountant. But yes, of to file the returns. Rule 80 is the rule which prescribes the form under section 44. That is just for your reference, basically. And a person supplying online information and database access retrieval services from a place outside India to India, they have been exempted from filing 9(9)C. So there is a summary table which is prepared actually over here. If you see, these are the persons who have to file or who don't have to file annual return. If you see, every registered person except input service distributor, many companies have taken input service distributor ISD registration. Is my screen moving?
Only your first slide is visible.
Yes,
No,
not moving.
So I'll share the screen again. Actually, I'm already on 6th slide. 1 second.
Yes, now it's okay. Yes.
Moving, right?
Yes,
okay.
Now it's moving.
So now it's on first slide?
Yes, this is the first slide. Yes.
Okay. Change to second?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just briefly again repeat. Basically, the second slide is the I have highlighted section 44, which mandates filing of 9(9)C, and rule 80 is the rule which prescribes the form. Okay, and this notification 30/2019 exempts OIDAR services provided from outside India to India. This screen now, basically, this is the summary of persons who have to file which form. So if you see, every person, every registered person has to file GSTR9 except input service distributor, casual taxable person, non-resident taxable person, TDS, TCS. You see, under GST also there are TDS, TCS provisions. When services are provided to a government organization, and the value of contract is more than 2.5 lakhs, then the government organization deducts TDS while making the payment. Similarly, when you are providing services through an online information, through an online e-commerce portal, then the e-commerce portal will deduct TCS. So basically, they have to take separate registration as a TDS deductor, TCS deductor. So that registration, for that registration, they need not file any GSTR9. Okay, and Department of Central Government, State Government, all these persons whose books are audited by CAG, basically Comptroller and Auditor General of India, they also need not file any GSTR9. And supply of OIDAR from outside India to a registered person in India, such persons also need not file GSTR9. Apart from these, all SSEs have to file GSTR9, and along with that, even 9C. For a composition taxpayer who is below 1.5 crores limit, they have to file GSTR9A. TCS, basically e-commerce operator, as we discussed above, they have to file GSTR9B annual statement as per section 52(5). So for them, 9B is there. For composition persons, 9A is there, and for all other SSEs, GSTR9 is there. Now all SSEs also has a exemption limit. Basically, it's not that every assessee even doing a business of 1 lakh rupees has to file. So government has basically exempted, if your turnover is below 2 crores, then GSTR9 is not applicable. And I have highlighted these relevant notifications for each year. And if your turnover is below 5 crores, then GSTR9C is not applicable. Okay, again, the relevant rules I have highlighted. So if your turnover is between 2 to 5 crores, then you will file only GSTR9. If it goes beyond 5 crores, only then 9C will be. Now, how do you determine whether whether my aggregate turnover is above 2 crores or above 5 crores? Okay, for that you have to see the definition of aggregate turnover. Now, aggregate turnover definition says it includes all taxable supplies, excluding the value of inward supplies on which tax is payable by a person on RCM basis. It includes exempt supplies. It includes exports. It includes all interstate, intrastate supplies having the same PAN number. So this is very important, having the same PAN number. Basically, a company is having multiple registrations: Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka. In Maharashtra, I am having a turnover of say 5 crores. In Gujarat, I am having turnover of say 1 crore. And in Rajasthan or Karnataka, I am having turnover of 50 lakhs. Okay. So a question would come whether I have to file GSTR9C only for Maharashtra because the turnover is above 5 crores only in Maharashtra, and for other states the turnover is below 5 crores, so I need not file 9C for them. And if any particular state has turnover of more than 2 crores, file only 9 for that particular state. The answer is no, because you have to see on PAN level basis. Under the same PAN number, if your turnover is more than 2 crores or 5 crores, then you have to file 9C for all state or that particular GSTN. So the criteria is basically you have to see at the company level what is my total turnover, and on that basis you have to determine. Now, some issues which arise while computing the aggregate turnover. Whether the aggregate turnover is to be computed net of credit notes issued during the financial year. Now, suppose I have raised invoices worth 2.5 crores. Okay. And then I have issued certain credit notes which are valued at 1 crore. So whether GSTR9 is applicable to me or not. My invoices are worth 2.5 crores and the credit notes are worth 1 crore. Okay. So the aggregate turnover will be net of credit notes. In this case, the aggregate turnover will become 1.5 crores, and therefore GSTR9 will not be applicable to such assessee. Second most important question, and which comes up very, very regularly, is whether advances are to be considered for computation of aggregate turnover. See, under GST law, for the purpose of goods, advances are not to be considered for paying taxes. Only when there is actual supply of goods, tax is paid. For services, you have to pay the tax on advances. Okay. But advances are not actual supply. If you see section 13, it says for the purpose of this section, advances shall be, to the extent of advances, it shall be deemed to be a supply. But it is for this section only. It is for only section 13. So there is actually no supply done. You have only simply received an advance, and the supply and invoice is going to be raised later. Therefore, advances are not to be considered while computing the aggregate turnover. Now, having said that, as a practical view, because department may not accept this view, so you may take a call whether to file GSTR9C if you are on borderline, and because of this advance only, if you are not crossing that limit, then as a practical view, okay, you may file it to avoid any dispute with the department. But if you ask me strictly legally, these are not supplies, and therefore there is no need to file GSTR9C if your turnover is crossing only because of advances. Next is purchase return declared as outward supply to be considered in aggregate turnover or not. Now I'll tell you, this is very common practice. See what happens. I have purchased some goods. Those are defective or the quality is not good and all that. So I want to return those goods. Okay. Now, if I want to return those goods, what will happen? I will have to ask my vendor to issue me a credit note. Okay. Now I wait for that credit note. Then on that basis of credit note, I have to reverse my credit. The vendor will be able to adjust its GST liability only as per section 34, only if I have reversed my credit. So vendor will always be skeptical whether I have actually reversed the credit or not. So all that, to avoid all that risk, many assessees, what they are following the practice is कि मेरे पास goods आया, if I am not comfortable, I have to reject those goods. So I will simply instead of passing a credit note, asking the vendor to issue me a credit note, I will simply raise a purchase return invoice. So basically purchase return invoice in the sense I will raise a tax invoice to show that as a part of my sales itself. Okay. Now, once you have so once you have decided to raise a tax invoice for returning the purchased goods, in your books you may reduce it from your purchases. Quite possibly you will not show it as a sales because your auditor will also not allow you. But once you have raised a tax invoice under GST for returning the goods, then while computing aggregate turnover, you cannot take a stand. No, these are not my sales. These are only purchase return. So suppose I have my normal sales 1.5 crore and I have raised tax invoices worth 75 lakhs because of purchase return. Then for the purpose of aggregate turnover, I have to compute 2.25 crores and GSTR9 will be applicable. Next is interest post office deposit, etc. See, interest under GST law, interest is not taxable. It's an exempt supply basically. Okay. Even for the purpose of rule 42-43 reversal, that is proportionate credit you have to reverse in case of exempt supply and taxable supply. The law says you don't have to consider interest income. But that you don't have to consider only for the purpose of rule 42-43 reversal. Otherwise, interest is an exempt income. Okay. And if you see the definition of aggregate turnover, it includes exempt supplies as well. Means all the aggregate value of all taxable supplies. Then there is a bracket after that, comma, exempt supplies. Even exempt supplies are part of your turnover. So it happens a lot. A person may have only exempt supplies to the extent of say 2 to 3 crore rupees. Okay. And then there is a taxable supply of say only 20,000 rupees. The question will come whether I have to file GSTR9. Yes, you have to file GSTR9 because your exempt supplies are also to be considered for aggregate turnover. Next is residential rent from personal asset of an individual. Now, see, residential rent has become taxable now if it is provided to a company, to a registered person basically under RCM basis. Now, question is whether such residential rent from the personal asset of an individual will be considered as part of my turnover. Over here, the important thing is, suppose I am a sole proprietor, I am running a business, and I also have a flat which I have given on rent. That may be taxable. Okay. Under RCM by the recipient if it is registered, or exempt if he is not registered and all that. The question is, can my personal asset, my personal property be also be treated as part of my business and computed for the purpose of aggregate turnover? I am a sole proprietor. I have my personal car, which I have not shown it as an asset in my business. I sell that personal car. So that car turnover I will not add for the purpose of aggregate turnover. Okay, so that same logic will apply over here. You have to always bifurcate between your business income and your personal income. I have a gold chain. I go and sell that gold chain to a jeweler. that my personal asset as a gold will not be added in my aggregate turnover. Okay, so that care needs to be taken. Next is income from sale of securities. See, for the purpose of Rule 42-43 reversal again, that is common credit reversal, you have to consider 1% of the sale price of securities. Okay, so if I buy certain equities, many companies invest in equities or mutual funds or whatever. So buying and selling of mutual funds or equities is not subject to GST. Why? Because they fall under the definition of securities, and securities are neither supply of goods nor supply of service. If you see the definition of goods, it excludes securities. If you see the definition of service, it excludes securities. But for the purpose of Rule 42-43 proportionate reversal, the law says that 1% of the sale price of the securities will be treated as exempt supply, and you have to reverse proportionate credit. Again, that is only for the limited purpose of reversal of credit. That does not mean that securities will become your supply of goods or service. Therefore, you don't have to consider it for the purpose of computing aggregate turnover. Next is waiver of loan write back of expenses. See, in your books, you may have certain income on account of waiver of loan. You in your balance sheet, there was a loan liability, and now due to certain reasons, you are not going to repay that loan. So you will remove it from the balance sheet and show it as an income in your P&L. Okay. Similarly, there may be some expenses which you have booked, but those are not being paid. So you will write back those expenses. Okay, there is no actual supply. You may record it as an income in your books to knock off the entry from your liabilities, but there is no actual supply, and therefore there will be no these items will not be added for the purpose of aggregate turnover. Sale of land or sale of flat after OC. Okay, now sale of land, very common example in case of any real estate business, or sale of flat where a company is into residential building or commercial building they are developing. If anything is sold after OC, or if there is a sale of land, then as per Schedule 3, these items are neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Okay, so once these are neither supply of goods nor supply of service, there is no question of them being a supply or for aggregate turnover. Receipt of GTA service on which company pays GST under RCM. So I am a manufacturer or a supplier of goods, and I have received GTA services. I pay the tax under RCM. Okay, I'm paying the tax under RCM, but that does not mean I'm the provider of such services. Okay, so that services will also not be covered, because even the law says, aggregate turnover definition, it says excluding the value of inward supplies on which tax is payable by a person on RCM basis. That will not be computed for the purpose of my aggregate turnover. Next is it's actually and the relevant notifications by which it got extended, and finally the final due dates for each of the years. For this year, we all know 31st December incorporated in the rule itself. And in case of any delay, you have to file a late fee of 200 rupees per day. That is 100 CGST and 100 SGST, and which is subject to a maximum of 0.25% plus 0.25% of your turnover. So this is the total late fee for delay which you have to pay. Now, some of the important features of annual returns. Before filing annual return for any financial year, you have to make sure that all the GSTR1 and all GSTR3Bs have been filed. And like all other returns under GST, even annual return or even 9C cannot be revised. So once you file it, that's final. You cannot revise it or change it. This is very important with respect to GSTR9. This is very important that outward supplies and advances received during the financial year which are not declared in 3B or 1 may be declared in GSTR9, and any unclaimed ITC cannot be claimed through GSTR9. See, I have raised an invoice, but I have failed to show it in GSTR1 or GSTR3B, in either of them or both of them. Then GSTR9 is giving you an opportunity to declare that and pay the tax along with interest. So basically, at the time of filing GSTR9C, you should show that invoice which has been missed showing in your monthly returns. Okay, but suppose I have failed to claim any ITC. This question, I'm sure, must have come to you many times. The client asks you, I forgot to claim certain ITC. Now, at the time of filing GSTR9C, can I claim the credit? So the answer is no. Why no? Because see, whatever credit I claim, that has to go in my electronic credit ledger. Without that, that credit has no relevance. Okay, and when I file GSTR3B, only that credit goes in my electronic credit ledger. Apart from that, nothing goes in my electronic credit ledger. So if I claim any credit, if I show any additional credit in my GSTR9, it will not make any difference because it will not flow to my electronic credit ledger. Even the law does not permit you to claim the credit directly in your GSTR9. So credit has to be claimed only through GSTR3B. So this is very important. Whatever you have claimed during the year, only that you have to show in GSTR9. You cannot claim more than that, or you cannot show or declare more than that in your GSTR9. Okay. There are a couple of questions which I can see in chat box. One is, what about high C sales? I am assuming this is with respect to this aggregate turnover. The high C sales is also neither supply of goods nor supply of service. It is a Schedule 3 item, and therefore that will also not be covered for the purpose of aggregate turnover. Okay. There's one question, if invoice is shown in GSTR1 but not in GSTR3B, how to reflect? There is one slide in which I have covered all these scenarios. We'll discuss that also. Once we reach that slide, we'll discuss this. That question will be covered over there. Is late fee applicable if we file GSTR9 after due date voluntarily? See, if GSTR9 is not applicable to you, you are under exemption, and if you are filing it voluntarily, then it can be argued that late fee is not payable. But my suggestion would be, if already there is a delay and GSTR9 is not applicable to you, then you should avoid filing it rather than going into that dispute. Right. RCM not shown in 3B, should we declare in 9 or only 9C? Sir, actually, these questions, how to declare, what to declare, where, once we'll go through the form. After that, I'll take all these questions with respect to how to declare, where to declare, what items to declare, what has been missed or what has been shown. Because more or less, my PPT will cover all those things, but anything which is left, we'll discuss at that point of time. One question is, what about out and out sales? I assume out and out sales is also like high C sales. So that also is the same treatment. It is a Schedule 3 item, and therefore you won't add it for the purpose of aggregate turnover. Okay. Next is, this is basically just a comparison from which table of GSTR1 the data will flow to your GSTR9, GSTR1, GSTR3B, and GSTR9. This is briefly to understand that in, say, for example, last, if you see serial number 5, non-GST outward supplies, this is under GSTR3B. In GSTR1, it must have been shown in table 8, and in GSTR9, it will go in table 5, F, H, I, J, and K. So these are the Again, I am seeing some questions in chat box that for 18-19 GSTR1 is filed and can I get credit of the same? If yes, in which year? See, if 18-19 ka credit you can claim only up to September 2019. If you have claimed it till that point of time, you can claim the credit. Basically, even if the supplier has not shown it till date, he may show it now, whatever. But if you have not claimed it till September 2019, then that credit is gone. Okay. Input credit availed next year for last year. I don't know what is the question. Yeah. Okay. Any questions with respect to table? We'll take it up because I'm discussing now. I'll discuss the table first. Now GSTR9. Okay. This is a summary. Is the Excel screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, it is visible.
Thank you. So this is basically GSTR9 form. Now we'll discuss each row of this form. See, if you see this form, starting details are very basic details, financial year, GST and legal name and all that. The main form starts from table 4. Over here, you have to give the details. This B column basically is what is the form itself. And these are the headings: taxable value, CGST, SGST, UTGST, IGST, cess. After this, tables of GSTR1 and 3B from which the data will flow over here. If you see, like in B2C, these are the relevant tables of GSTR1 from which the data will flow. So this is just for reference purpose from column H and column I. Okay. Someone has raised the hand. You can unmute and ask if you want to. Yeah, I think someone has raised hands, Rajesh Kumar ji and Divyesh ji. If you want to ask questions, I can wait or I'll move ahead. So now to understand GSTR9, I would suggest if everyone can open GSTR9 on their screens for themselves, or if they have a printout, you may refer to that. Basically, the form is divided. Hello?
Sorry, I was not able to unmute.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, my question was, we were discussing that ITC to be claimed up to September 19.
Right.
If while filing GSTR9, we come to know that we have not claimed ITC in GSTR3B, and it appears in 2A. So can we show it that we have claimed in the next year up to September 22 specified period?
Up to September 19.
September 22, we are filing GST return for
You are mute, sir. Can't hear you. You are on mute.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, am I audible now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, my question was that if we have recognized that some ITC is not claimed in 3B of a 21-22 while filing GSTR9 and it appears in 2A.
For 21-22, you are saying?
Up to specified period.
This is for which year you are talking about? 21-22?
21-22, GSTR9 of 21-22, yes.
Okay, so basically now you have realized.
Yes, while filing GSTR9, if I realize that it is appearing in 2A, but I have not claimed in 3B.
So that time period is gone.
Yeah, but
For 21,
can we show that
22?
we have claimed till September 22 specified period?
Now, how will you show if you have not claimed in 3B?
No, it is claim. No, ITC of the respective months is claimed. We can claim that ITC in current month also. No, of we can claim the ITC of August 22 in February 20, in November 22.
So that you may decide. I cannot comment on that. Basically, that is, you are saying that you will manipulate and show that August month credit included this credit
Yes,
of
credit of August 22 is claimed in November 22, and credit of March 22 is claimed in August 22. That we can do. Can we show that we have claimed in next year? That is my basic question.
That is what I'm saying. That call you may take. This is a recorded session. I'll not comment on that, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So so if we see, the form is divided basically.
Hello.
Table.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. So table 4 and table 5 are with respect to outward supplies. Okay. So whatever is your outward supply, whatever is your taxable outward supply plus RCM, that forms part of your table 4. Okay, and all your exempt non-GST supplies, outward supplies, that forms part of your table 5. So table 4 covers all, again I'll repeat, all your taxable outward supplies plus your RCM liability. From on the basis of table 4, actually your tax liability for the whole year is determined. Therefore, that is the most crucial and first table of GSTR9. If you see, you have to basically give the details bifurcation. In 4A, you have to give B2C supply details. In 4B, you have to give B2B, then zero rated. 4D, you have to give details of supply to SEZ on payment of tax. So if you have supplied to SEZ or if you have made export without payment of tax, that will not come over here. Deemed export, advances, inward supplies liable to reverse charge. All basically all these are where tax liability is there. So as I said, table 4 will determine your actual tax liability for the whole year. Okay. Now, important thing in this is for B2C, you have to net it off, show the amount net of credit and debit notes and not the gross amount. Whereas for B2B and others, we'll discuss below, you have to show separately. Okay. Now, some issue which might arise is basically in case of amendment from B2C to B2B in the same year, whether the supply is to be shown in table 4A or 4B. Okay. So suppose there was some transaction which you showed as B2C, and then the customer comes and tells you, no, I have my GSTN number. So please add my GSTN number. So you have amended and you have shown it as B2B. So basically, the purpose of GSTR9 is you correctly declare over here. Whatever mistake you may have done at the time of filing GSTR1 or GSTR3B, you can rectify that for your outward supplies at the time of filing GSTR9. So you should show such supplies in table 4B, B2B supplies only, and not in B2C. Okay. There is one more important thing, that advances with respect to B2C, that should not be disclosed over here. For that, because there is a separate column of 4F. If you see over here, advances is separately covered. Only net of debit and credit notes, that will come over here. Okay. And in B2 and in GSTR, we see in GSTR1 that there is one B2C large and B2C small. All that bifurcation is not there while filing GSTR9. So you have to include all your B2C supplies made through e-commerce or anything. All that will be included and shown over here in table 4A itself. Next is 4B, B2B supplies. It will include supply, basically all your B2B supplies through e-commerce or supplies to UINs, that is United, that is special UN GSTN, which have been given to UN organizations or their subsidiaries. Then deemed supply to related persons. See, between related persons, one GSTN to another GSTN of the same company, when you raise an invoice, that is also a B2B supply, which you have to show it over here. Then there is supplies attracting reverse charge. So you are a provider of supply which attracts reverse charge. Suppose you are a sponsorship service provider. Okay, when you are providing sponsorship services, you are a registered person, then that supply attracts reverse charge, and the recipient of that sponsorship service will pay the tax on that. So that will not come over here, because if you show it over here, it will form part of your tax liability. As I said, table 4 determines your tax liability for the whole year. Okay, therefore that supplies on which RCM is payable by the recipient, and you are the provider of that supply, then you will not show it over here, that you will show it in table 5C. And for till 2021 year, there was this option to show these details net of credit, debit notes or amendments, but now that option is removed. So for that, you have to separately fill the details of debit notes, credit notes and amendments, which is given below. We'll discuss that. It comes over here below in table 4I, J, 4K, etc. Next is zero rated supply exports on payment of tax. See, we all know in case of export or goods or services, we have two options. Either under LUT, we can export without payment of tax, or we can pay tax IGST and we can claim refund of that. Okay, so whenever you have paid tax and exported goods, then you have to show it in this table, table 4C. And similarly, in case of SEZ supplies, again, you have two options on payment of IGST or under LUT without payment. So only when you have paid the tax on SEZ supplies, then you will show it over here in 4D. Now, this is a very common issue which may have come up. I have disclosed SEZ or export supplies on which I'm paying tax, okay, in my GSTR1 or GSTR3B as a normal supply. What happens while filing GSTR1 and 3B, we don't realize that this is an export because tax has been paid. So the person who is filling the details may fill that details as a normal B2B supplies in the normal table of GSTR1 or GSTR3B. Okay, so what to do? Okay, one thing is you were supposed to amend the necessary details in GSTR1 and 3B in the subsequent months whenever you realized. Whether you have done that or you have not done that, while filing GSTR9, you please show it correctly. So in your GSTR1 or 3B, you may have shown it as a normal supply, but while filing GSTR9, you will show it in table 4C and 4D only. Don't continue that error over here in GSTR9. But having said that, if you have not corrected in GSTR1 or 3B, then you will lose out on your refund, because at the time of claiming refund of the IGST paid, they will check that, and on that basis only they will grant you refund. But okay, that's a separate matter. The main issue is that in GSTR9, you please correct it. Next is deemed export. Basically, deemed export covers supplies to EOU, supplies against advance authorization, supply of capital goods against EPCG. All these are deemed exports are covered by notification 48 by 2017. And there is one more notification 40 by 2017, where an option is given to pay GST at 0.1% when you are making supply to a merchant exporter. So in common parlance, actually, it is understood that this is also a deemed export because you are giving it to a merchant exporter. But under GST law, this is not termed as a deemed export. Okay, deemed exports are only covered by 48 by 2017, and therefore whatever supplies are made to a merchant exporter at concessional rate of 0.1% under 40 by 2017, that will not form part of 4E. That will go as a normal supply in your B2B. Okay, next is 4F, advances. Any advances with respect to B2C and B2B have to be declared over here. This is very simple and straightforward. Next is 4G, inward supplies on which tax is to be paid on RCM basis. So basically, whatever is your RCM liability, that you show it over here. This is as a recipient. This is as a recipient. So I am a recipient of GTA service. I am a recipient of legal advocate service or sponsorship service. Then I will show that over here in 4G. As again, I'm repeating, as table 4 is the main table which computes your tax liability for the whole year, and therefore this is included over here. Then in table 4I, you have to show credit notes with respect to your above over here, B2B, zero rated, SEZ supplies, deemed export, any credit note with respect to that, you will show it over here. And question is non-GST credit notes pertaining to sales shown in 4B above. Suppose you have some notes which have been issued, commercial credit notes have been issued. Many company follows the practice of not issuing a credit note with GST. There is a trade discount, year-end volume discount, or such any promotional discount is given. So they give that discount without issuing a credit note of GST. Only the base value is given. Okay, that is to make sure that they don't enter into that hassle of checking whether the recipient has GST credit. So what will happen to such credit notes? That will not be shown over here, because if you show the credit note over here, your GST liability will get reduced. Whereas you have issued only a commercial credit note and your liability is not supposed to be reduced, and therefore you will not declare that credit note over here. Similarly, debit notes with respect to all the supplies, amendments, addition to value, reduction in value will go in 4K and 4L. These amendments have to be declared only where there is a difference in the value or the tax amount. Okay, suppose I have raised an invoice, and in the invoice number I have made some error, and then I have corrected through an amendment that invoice number, or I have wrongly mentioned a wrong GSTN number instead of the correct GSTN number of the company. All such amendments which I make does not have any impact on the taxable value or the tax liability. That will not form part of 4K and 4L. That will go directly in your respective 4B, C, D, E, wherever you have shown it. Basically, I have issued a B2B invoice to company X, and by mistake I have shown the registration number of company Y. Then I correct it in my GSTR1 in the subsequent month. So over here I will show it in the normal B2B supplies only. I won't show it over here in 4K or 4L. Okay. Then these details will be auto-populated. And 4N is very important table, supplies and advances on which tax is to be paid. So this computes all your tax liability, including your RCM liability, in table 4N. This is what will come. This is what will be of importance later when we come down to table 9 of GSTR9. So briefly, we have discussed that table 4 covers all my tax liabilities, and this is what I have to give breakup in my table 4. Next is table 5. Now table 5 is also again my outward liability. But what is important over here is that all these outward liabilities are not taxable. If you see the examples, zero rated supply without payment of tax. Then in 5B, supply to SEZ without payment of tax. Over here, if you see, these columns are freezed. Your tax columns are freezed. Only the taxable value you have to declare, because there is no tax liability on this. While filing GSTR1, 3B, or on the face of invoice, you have decided not to pay tax on these. Okay. Then there is supplies on which tax is to be paid by recipient of service. So if the recipient, as we have discussed earlier, sponsorship service, I am the provider of sponsorship service, then the recipient is liable to pay tax. Therefore, I will not show that supplies in table 4. I will show it in table 5C. Next is exempted, nil rated. Okay. Suppose I have shown short value or excess value in GSTR1. Many people have a practice of not showing exempted supplies in GSTR1 at all. They don't show it. Okay. That's okay. But while filing GSTR9, please declare the values over here. If you will not declare those values over here, while reconciling it with 9C, show that value in table 5D and 5E over here, irrespective of the fact whether you have shown it in GSTR1 or not. Next is table 5F, non-GST supplies. Now, one important thing is that nil rated and exempted supplies you can club and you can show it under exempted row. Okay, but non-GST supplies you cannot club and you have to separately show it under non-GST head only. Now, earlier till 2021, there was an option to club even the row 5F non-GST supply and show it in exempt supply itself. But now they have removed that option. So it is mandatory to separately declare non-GST supplies. Now these may be, as we have discussed earlier at the time of discussing aggregate turnover also, high C sales, sale of land, sale of flat after OC, all these are non-GST supplies. So all such supplies you have to declare in table 5F. Again, irrespective of the fact whether you have declared the same in your GSTR 1 and 3B or not. Okay, then there is 5H, 5I, J, K. All these are credit notes, debit notes, amendments with respect to what you have shown above. So these are only credit debit notes, amendments of your exempt supplies, non-GST supplies, all those supplies. These are not for your taxable supplies. So this basically covers table 5. Table 4, all my tax liability. Table 5, my exempt activities. So these covers all my outward. Table 4 and 5 will cover all my outward supplies. Then we come to table 6, which will cover my input tax credit. Someone has written a query, invoice amendment with value of last year in 2021, which was already reported in 10, 11, and 9 of last year. Sir, we'll discuss. I will discuss all these once we finish the form. All these queries with respect to where to show in GSTR9 whatever has been missed last year or what we want to show it in next year. We'll discuss all these queries. Rajesh Kumarji, you have raised the hand if you want to ask any question.
No, sir. It was previously already asked. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Archit, if you want, we can schedule all the question answers for the end. If the presentation is not going to get completed.
No, we'll complete it with the question. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm just saying ki with respect to GSTR9 table related questions, you please hold on for some time. Once we finish, then we can take all the questions because most of the questions may get covered during the presentation itself. Okay. Now next is table 6 ITC. 6A is an auto-populated field. Basically, your whatever credit.
Archit ji, एक चीज पूछनी है.
Yeah.
If you can allow. Actually, the person forgot to issue credit note for the last financial year for invoice which was cancelled. So value was high and GST has also been paid in March 22. But he forgot to issue in October. Is there any possibility that we can do it now? By any method, and we can utilize the credit of excess paid of GST last year?
Is it supply of goods or supply of service?
Goods only.
So why there is a credit note?
No, value has been reduced. Contract value has been reduced. But
so
GST. Yes.
You can issue a credit note without GST. There is no problem.
But sir, without GST, so we can issue any time. But GST paid in last year, that will be lost. No, sir, amount is big. So 1 crore GST amount is there. Is there any
No,
way we can?
that the recipient has already got the credit now, so there is no revenue loss. See that you have charged 1 crore GST, but that credit has already been taken by the other person. Now, on account of commercial credit note, that person need not reverse the credit.
But sir, the person who will issue the credit note, he will lose 1 crore of GST
Why?
because value has been reduced. Value of the project has been reduced.
No,
So
sir.
can we
I'll
save it, sir?
You cannot issue a GST credit note in this. Basically, you
Ask.
can issue, but you will not be able to adjust your liability. See,
Okay,
please
okay.
understand. You have
So
raised an invoice of
okay.
1 lakh plus 18,000 GST. Now the value has reduced to 80,000.
Okay, sir.
So the 18,000 credit has already been taken by the recipient. Now you raise only a commercial credit note of 20,000.
But sir, if the amount is very less, but it is in crores, 10 crore, and
So
then
that is what I'm saying. This example will apply even if the GST value is not 20,000, it is 20,000 crores. The same logic will apply. There is no such differentiation if the amount is more.
so there will be loss of GST whatever we paid, excess paid last year.
No, sir, there is no loss of GST. That
Sir,
person,
sir, those credit note we can show in which table of GSTR9?
Sorry?
This is what I was about to ask.
Commercial credit note will not form part of GSTR1 or GSTR9.
नहीं सर कमर्शियल क्रेडिट नोट तो कभी भी इशू कर सकते हैं। जीएसटी क्रेडिट नोट अब वो जिस पार्टी ने पे किया है ना सर, उसका तो 1 करोड़ का जीएसटी का लॉस है ना सर। उसने तो सेकंड पार्टी ने तो क्रेडिट ले लिया, अब वो रिफंड नहीं करेगा और हमारा तो लॉस हो गया ना।
कैसे लॉस हुआ सर? वो आपको 1,18,000 के सामने अब वो 20,000 का क्रेडिट नोट दे रहे हो तो वो आपको 80,000 प्लस 18,000 पे करेगा और आप सरकार को 18,000 आप पे कर चुके हो, आपको आपका 80,000 मिल गया। इसमें लॉस कैसे हुआ आप मुझे बताइए।
सर जीएसटी पार्ट का हो गया सर, 50 करोड़ का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, 50 करोड़ पे। जी जी सर सर्विस का, सर वर्क कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का केस है। वर्क कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में एडवांस पे भी जीएसटी पे हो गया है और जो 15 करोड़ मिले थे 50 करोड़ के अगेंस्ट में एडवांस मिला था उस पे कर दिया सर। अभी उस प्रोजेक्ट की वैल्यू ही हो गई 8 करोड़। तो सर जो 7 करोड़ का डिफरेंशियल है वो तो क्रेडिट, वो तो जीएसटी पे ऑलरेडी हो गया ना सर। तो अगर मान लीजिए वो 7 करोड़ बन गया और आईटीसी तो खैर ले लिया उसने, लेकिन जो पार्टी पे कर रही है
तो पूरा जीएसटी रिइंबर्स करेगा ना, पूरे 15 करोड़ पे वो आपको आईटीसी रिइंबर्स करेगा और आपने 8 करोड़ का क्रेडिट नोट दे दिया उसको और आपने उसका
नहीं वो क्रेडिट वो नहीं दे रहा सर जीएसटी का। वो कह रहा है कि हमने तो वैल्यू कम कर दी है, अमाउंट इज इन करोड़, so he is saying that we will not bear.
No. Then there is a that you have to deal with the recipient of service because there is no question of why not paying GST. He is supposed to reimburse the GST.
वैल्यू कम हो गई ना सर। ओके मतलब लास्ट ईयर के क्रेडिट लेने का कोई अब तरीका नहीं है, ये मैं पूछना चाह रहा था बेसिकली आफ्टर अक्टूबर।
नहीं, उसके लिए कमर्शियल क्रेडिट नोट दे सकते हैं तो कोई लॉस नहीं।
हाँ कमर्शियल क्रेडिट तो थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू बस।
ओके या प्रमोद जी यू वांट टू आस्क?
सर मेरा क्वेरी सेम कंटिन्यूएशन में था कि सपोज लास्ट ईयर में इनवॉइस रेज किया एंड सामने वाला पार्टी इज सेइंग कि वी डिड नॉट कंसीडर द इनवॉइस, आपने रेज कर दिया बट वी इनवॉइस हम लोग उसका कंसीडर नहीं कर रहे और वो सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विस भी प्रॉपर नहीं है, बट अभी वो इसके ऊपर तो मैंने टैक्स भर दिया और सामने वाला पर्सन इज नॉट गिविंग द मनी और वो टैक्स ये भी नहीं दे रहा है जीएसटी, तो पार्टी फॉरगॉट टू रेज द क्रेडिट नोट जब भी वो अभी सितंबर भी चला गया। दिस इज रिगार्डिंग द फाइनेंशियल ईयर 21-22। तो अभी उसका हम लोग क्रेडिट लॉस तो हो गया क्योंकि पेमेंट कर दिया, तो वो
आपको इनवॉइस कैंसिल कर रहे हैं अब तो वो क्योंकि दे ही नहीं रहा है अब तो वो
इनवॉइस कैंसिल करना पड़ेगा,
तो आप उसको रिफंड क्लेम कर सकते हैं।
अभी रेज कर सकते हैं आफ्टर सितंबर रिफंड क्लेम पर सितंबर में कर सकते हैं हम लोग क्रेडिट नोट रेज करके
रिफंड क्लेम कर सकते हैं ना, बिल्कुल।
तो उसका टाइम लिमिट कुछ है, इस तरह टाइम लिमिट
2 साल का फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स और वो कोविड की वजह से जो बीच का एक्सटेंडेड पीरियड है वो भी ऐड होगा।
ओके तो 21-22 का भी है और 21-22 का 2 साल है आप बता रहे।
या Sir, all
for
these
the
questions which are not pertaining to directly with 9.9C, now let's keep it at the end. Many
ठीक है, पर उसके लिए 2 साल का टाइम लिमिट है, you are saying.
Yes,
उसके लिए 2 साल का टाइम लिमिट है.
participants are requesting to continue now. Yeah, please. 6A में auto populated figures of your 3B, whatever credit you have claimed during the year will come over here. You cannot change it. It is non-editable. Then the form is designed in such a manner that you have to give the breakup in 6B, 6C, 6D, 6E, 6F, G, H. Basically, all these are breakup of whatever credit you have claimed during the year. तो 6A में जो फिगर आ रहा है वो पूरे साल भर के 3B का ब्रेकअप है, पूरे साल भर का 3B का कंसोलिडेटेड फिगर है, उसका आपको ब्रेकअप देना है 6B, 6C, D, E, F, G, H में. Now let us see what is this breakup. Okay. First is inward supplies other than imports. Okay, these are normal inward supplies, normal B2B supplies जो सामने वाले पर्सन ने आप पे इनवॉइस रेज किया है, सर्विसेज फ्रॉम SEZ or your normal B2B supplies that you have to give as a breakup between inputs, capital goods and input services. Now, what is important to know is that from 2019-20, it has become mandatory to report ITC of capital goods separately, and the balance things can be reported as part of inputs. So inputs and input services you can club and show it as part of inputs, but capital goods is mandatorily to be shown separately in this table. Okay. One question which I've already discussed earlier, but which will come time and again from your client to you is any amount of credit which was credit which is available to be disclosed or amount which is accounted in the books of accounts is what I'm supposed to disclose. So you are not supposed to disclose the amount as per books of accounts. You have to disclose as per what you have claimed in GSTR3B, what is coming above in 6A. आपने क्रेडिट क्लेम किया 100 रुपए, आपके बुक्स में आ रहा है 120 रुपए, तो आपको 100 रुपए का ब्रेकअप यहाँ पे देना है, 120 का नहीं, because that is what is the credit you have claimed during the year and not 120. 120 may be appearing in your books, 20 you have forgotten to claim, so that you will not show it over here. Next is 6C. 6C is basically RCM supplies from unregistered person, and 6G is RCM supplies from registered persons. Now, basically I am receiving services from an advocate. Okay, that advocate ki services pe I have to pay the tax under reverse charge mechanism. So that I will show it in table 6C, 6G. Now, up to 2021, the table said that the instruction said that you can consolidate the figures and show it only in 6D separately. Okay, but now they have amended that from 21-22 onwards, you cannot show table 6C, 6G as a consolidated in 6G. You have to show it separate. Now, what practical challenge will come over here? See, 6C says RCM from unregistered and 6G says RCM from registered persons. Now I have 10 advocates on record. Okay, I take services from each one of them. While booking the invoice, I don't care whether that advocate is a registered advocate or a non-registered advocate, because some advocates may also be providing services to an individual for family court matter. Suppose for a divorce matter, an advocate is providing services. So over there, he has to pay tax under forward charge. In such case, he will be registered under GST. Okay, an advocate who is providing only corporate law services, he will never take a registration. He will be unregistered. Now I am taking services from both these lawyers. Now in my books of accounts, in my record, I never record that whether that advocate is registered or not. A GTA service provider may also be providing services to an individual for movement of household goods. In that case, the GTA service provider will pay tax under forward charge, so he's registered. But when he's providing service to me as a company or as a registered GST person, he will not pay GST. I will pay under RCM. So issue is, how do I identify whether that whether the RCM supplies of the credit which I have taken pertains to a registered service provider or an unregistered service provider? Now, one way to deal with this is, if the person is registered, he must have filed GSTR1, and in that he must have shown that invoice issued on me and ticked RCM applicable. That will come in my GSTR 2A 2B also. So that can be a base, and I should disclose that much value in GST in table 6D, because that is inward supplies from registered person. All other I will show in table 6C. Alternatively, okay, the instructions have been removed now. They do not provide you an option. Still, there is no loss to the government. You may club everything and continue showing it in 6G only, because it is practically very difficult for any SSC if you ask them, can you please give me a breakup that whether the inward supplies, RCM supplies are from an unregistered person or registered person. Therefore, you should club and show it in 6G itself. It doesn't make much difference. Next, you have to give the details of import of goods. Import of goods can be your normal imports from outside India or from SEZ. Because when you receive any goods from SEZ, then also you have to file bill of entry and you have to pay tax under RCM. The SEZ supplier will not pay the tax on that. Only in case of services, the SEZ supplier pays the tax under forward charge when it is providing the services to DTA. So as a DTA unit, if you are importing goods from outside India or from SEZ, you have to file bill of entry, and that credit which you have claimed, that you will show it over here. Again, inputs and capital goods you have to show separately. Next is import of services. That is again your normal import of services, excluding inward supplies from SEZ. As I said, when SEZ is providing services to a DTA unit, the SEZ service provider pays the tax on that, and not the recipient of service. And therefore, your normal import of service from outside India, you have to declare over here the credit claimed on that. And for this, you can refer to table 4A2 of GSTR 3B, because over there you must have shown these credit items. Input tax credit received from ISG. So basically, whatever credit you have received from the ISG at unit level, you will show it in this table 6G, and that will be net of credit notes. So ISG may issue you an ISG invoice, and then it may also issue you a credit note. Suppose ISG has passed on extra credit to you, so ISG will issue you a credit note. So net of that amount will be declared over here in 6G. Any reclaim of credit will come in table 6H. So that could be like 180 days reversal. You have not made the payment to the vendor within 180 days, and therefore you have reversed the credit. The loss is whenever you will make the payment, you can reclaim the credit. So if I reclaim that credit after 180 days, that amount will come over here. Or any rule 42, 43 reversal. In rule 42, what happens? You have to monthly proportionately reverse the credit. Okay, once you proportionately reverse the credit every month, then at the end of the year, you have to see the exempt turnover vis-a-vis taxable turnover for the whole year. And at that point of time, if you find that you have reversed extra credit, then you are entitled to reclaim the credit what you have reversed. Some portion of that is excess credit on account of your annual turnover of exempt supplies vis-a-vis taxable supplies. So that amount, any reclaim of credit, will come over here in table 6H. Okay. Someone has asked where to show ITC reversed amount. That will come in table 7. So all this table 6 is claim of credit, 6B to 6H. Basically, you have to give breakup of whatever is coming in 6A. Now, when you come to 6H ke baad 6I is just an auto-populated figure, and then 6J is also a difference between what you have shown in 6A and 6I. Then 6K and 6L are pertaining to Tran 1, Tran 2 credit. This is not of any relevance for 21-22, because Tran 1, Tran 2 credit you have either claimed in 17-18, 18-19, or you are claiming it now on account of the Supreme Court judgment till 30th November 22. So that will again have relevance in next year while filing 22-23 GSTR9. For 21-22, it has no relevance. Then any other ITC which is availed but not specified above. So although they have covered most of the items, but some of the items like ITC 01, 02, if you take over any business, okay, or there is an amalgamation of business, then the closing balance of credit of that business gets transferred to you through ITC02. So that credit, you have to show it over here in 6M. Then you are a provider of, you are a supplier or provider of exempt goods or exempt service. And suddenly your supplies become taxable from an X date. Okay, then the law provides that whatever stock of goods is lying with you, you are entitled to claim credit of that. For that, you have to file ITC01 form. So that any credit which you have claimed, that will come over here in table 6N. Okay, then the total 6N of above and total ITC claimed in 6O. So basically table 6, take a breakup you are giving, whatever credit you have claimed during the year or whatever credit that from 3B, that will come from 6B to 6H, and from 6K to 6M, your credits which are not forming part of your 3B, but it has come directly in your electronic credit ledger. That is coming in 6K, L, and M. So that will match with your electronic credit ledger. Then next is table 7, which talks about reversal of ITC. Yes, Mr. Karya, you want to ask something?
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yes, madam.
एक्चुअली सर मुझे ये पूछना था कि जो क्रेडिट 2021 की है, क्लेम हुई है 21-22 में, वो टेबल 6 में कहीं पे आएगी क्या? मेरा पॉइंट मतलब एम में दिखा सकते हैं क्या वो अमाउंट?
नहीं, वो एम में नहीं आएगा मैडम, आपने उसको आपके 6A में तो आएगा क्योंकि आपने 21-22 में क्लेम किया है, और वो जिस भी रिस्पेक्टिव हेड में जा रहा है, नॉर्मल इनवर्ट सप्लाईज, RCM supplies, import of goods, import of service, whatever it is, it will go in that respective head. It will not go in 6M because 6M is only for your special cases.
ओके, तो फिर वो और कहीं स्पेसिफिकली कोई जगह नहीं है ना उसके लिए?
नहीं, वो ऊपर 6B to 6H में ही आएगा।
और एक क्वेश्चन था कि 3B में ना ITC RCM में शो हुआ था, लेकिन था वो एक्चुअली इंपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विसेज, तो अभी 6A में तो जो करेक्ट है वही दिखाएंगे ना?
सॉरी,
GSTR 3B में RCM में दिखाया था ITC, लेकिन वो एक्चुअली इंपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस का था।
हाँ हाँ, आप टेबल 6 GSTR9 में सही जगह पे दिखाएं।
ओके ओके, थैंक यू।
PPT, someone has asked, PPT will be shared. Yes, I will discuss the PPT again because GSTR9 is such that it cannot be converted into PPT format. So for that, I'm discussing the Excel first. Breakup of ITC in table 6 should be as claimed in GSTR 3B or as per books for the relevant financial year. No, you have to do as it is appearing in 3B, whatever you have claimed. Even if ITC, this madam has also asked, if there is ITC of last year, which you have claimed in 3B of this year, then you will show it in table 6 over here itself. Yes, Mitul ji.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, in notification 79/2020, it says that earlier year ITC we cannot show in table 6. So earlier the madam's query was that whether we should show it in table 6 or not. So I'm just a little bit.
I agree that notification says so. Now there is one interpretation which says that whether this is earlier year's credit. When I have claimed it only in this year in 3B, the credit becomes eligible to me when I claim it in 3B. And therefore this forms part of my this year's credit. And that is why if you see the form, it has been designed in such a manner that whatever credit you have claimed will appear in 6A as a freezed item, and the breakup of that you have to show it in 6B, C, D, E, F, G, H.
Right.
If you will not show that earlier years this thing in over here, then a difference.
Then there will be a difference. Yes.
Yes, there will be a difference, and that is very risky. Because I'll tell you why. Because the department will feel that means you have claimed more credit, and nowadays we know what is happening. They are issuing system-generated show cause notices on the basis of GSTR1, 3B, GSTR9, 9C. So,
right.
If you will not show that value, and if difference will come over here in table 6, I think 6J, then there will be a difficulty for our client. So it is advisable to please show whatever credit you have claimed during the year, breakup of that from 6B to 6H.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. I think Mr. Rohit Shinde has also asked that same query, which I have answered now. And Excel will also be shared of GSTR9. Yes, I have already shared the Excel and PPT with the coordinators of JB Nagar Study Circle. I'm sure they will share with you. Yeah, Rahul, Navnath, anyone can please confirm this Excel and this PPT can be shared with all the participants. Please.
We will share it. We will share it.
Yeah,
along with the video. Yeah.
Yeah. Now coming to table 7. So we have discussed table 4, 5 outward supplies, table 6 all my inward credit, table 7 is reversal of credit. So this is basically whatever credit you have shown as reversed in GSTR3B, that you have to show over here. So various various headings as per rule 37. Rule 37 is your 180 days reversal. If you have not made payment to the vendor and you have reversed the credit in 3B, that you have to show it over here. Rule 39 is reversal of credit on account of excess distribution by ISG. So ISG has raised an invoice, you claim the credit, then after 2 months ISG raised a credit note, you reverse the credit. That you will show in table 7B. 7C, 7D are rule 42, rule 43 reversal. So this you have to show only if you have done reversal of any credit during the year. Okay, what you have shown in rule 42, 43, that reversal you have done during the year. If you have shown it in next year, then it will form part of your table 12, 13, which will come below. Okay, so only if whatever credit you have reversed during the year, that will come over here in table 7C, 7D. 17.5, 7E says any credit reversal on account of 17.5. See, up to July 22, what was happening? Because in August 22, the disclosure in 3B has changed. Okay, now we are talking about 21, 22 as of now. And up to July 22, the practice which was being followed all across by almost 99% of the SSCs was that any item on which credit is not eligible, that is 17.5 item, then that credit is not shown in GSTR 3B at all. I hardly know any SSC who will show the credit first claimed and then show reversal of credit under 17.5. So then you should not show it over here. Why you should not show it over here? Because table 7 में अगर आपने वो credit दिखा दिया, तो आपका credit उतना यहाँ से minus हो जाएगा. नीचे 7 में जो total आएगा, वो 6 minus 7 होके आएगा, and that will be compared with your books in 9C. So basically, only if in your GSTR 3B you have separately shown 17.5 reversal of credit, then you should show it over here in table 7E. If you have not claimed the credit at all on account of 17.5, then please do not show it over here at all. Otherwise, your credit eligibility will show lower as compared to what you have claimed, and you may get show cause notice for reversal of credit. Next is 7F. Any reversal of TRAN1 related credit. आपने कोई KKC का credit लिया था पहले, अभी audit हुआ department का 21-22 में आपने reverse किया है, that you will show it over here. Any TRAN2 credit, TRAN2 was with respect to any stock of goods basically for which invoices were not available. If that credit you have reversed in 21-22, you will show it over here. Other reversals, any other reversals you have done, these are actually not forming part of your GSTR 3B. Okay, say like paid through DRC 03. Okay, तो आपने electronic credit ledger में debit किया है because you have paid any liability through DRC 03 through credit. आपने appeal file करते वक्त you have made any pre-deposit through credit. Then ITC 03. ITC 03 is basically when your supplies have become exempted. So whatever is your closing stock lying with you, you are supposed to reverse that credit. So that you have to reverse by filing ITC 03. All that will come over here. And then the total 7J, that will be compared with your credit in 9C. That will come to when we'll see 9C. So now I'm again repeating the flow. Table 4, outward supplies liable to tax plus RCM. Table 5, outward supplies not liable to tax. Table 6, claim of credit. Table 7, reversal of credit. Okay. Now next is table 8. Table 8 is again very crucial table because department issues a lot of show cause notice on the basis of this table. Although the purpose of this table in this form couldn't be understood because it has no relevance. If you see table 8A, what happens is they will pull the ITC as appearing in your GSTR2A. Okay, so whatever is your normal outward supplies by a vendor, whatever the vendor has shown in GSTR1, that will come in GSTR2A, and that will form part of your table 8A. And then in table 8B, all your forward B2B credit, basically whatever you have shown in table 6B and 6H above, that will come over here. In table 8C, you will fill the details of ITC which was claimed by you during the next financial year. So 21-22 का आपने April to September 22 और अब जो time limit extend हो गई up to November 22, if you have claimed any credit of only forward charge, not RCM, because this they are comparing only with 2A. So 2A will not have RCM credit. So all your forward charge credit which you have claimed during the next financial year up to the extended time limit, that will come in 8C. Then they will compare that in table 8D. What they are doing, 2A का data 8A में आ रहा है, 8B में आपका ऊपर जो आपने 6B and 6H में show किया है वो आ रहा है, auto populated it will come, and then whatever you have claimed in next financial year, that you have to punch the details in 8C, and then they will compare it and show the difference in 8D. Now according to department, this figure can be positive. Positive का मतलब है कि 2A में ज्यादा डेटा है और आपने जो claim किया है वो कम है. But if it is negative, then there is a problem, because according to them, then you have claimed extra credit, and we have seen lot of show cause notices on this ground which we have been fighting at various stages now. So, but some lacuna in this table which department fails to understand is that 2A is a dynamic statement from which they have been pulling this data. If I decide to file GSTR9 on 1st of December, then table 8A may show 100 rupees. Okay. But if I decide to file it on 15th December, it may show 105 rupees, because some of my vendors may have filed their GSTR1 by that time for 21-22 or shown the invoice for 21-22. If I file it on the last day, 31st December, it is possible that that value may increase to 110 rupees. So what is happening is, the later I file, it will I will be in a more advantageous position as far as the credit is concerned. That is not the idea at all. Then there will be suppliers who may have incorrectly shown some other GSTN instead of my GSTN or my other state GSTN, because of which the information is not flowing in my 2A. So because of all these reasons, there is a possibility that there will be difference and negative difference. In fact, all the SSCs for which we have been handling 9C, we see there is a negative difference only. Hardly we see any positive difference. It's a very rare case where some of the SSCs may claim the credit on the basis of making payment only and not on invoice basis. In such cases, we see there is a positive difference. But having said that, the department may issue show cause notice on the basis of negative difference, which needs to be contested. Then table 8E is ITC available but not availed. So basically you have to identify whatever ITC was available to you in GSTR 2A, but you have not availed it in 3B. Normally this information is not available with the SSCs. It is going to be very difficult to find out such information, because if you are not availed any ITC, you may have expensed it out. and that is not separately parked at all in the ITC ledger. Next is ITC available but ineligible. That is 17.5 ITC, 17.5 related items. That may be appearing in GSTR2A. Now again, very difficult to identify, because in 2A all your credits will come, but 17.5 items you have expensed out in your books of account directly. So therefore you will not be able to identify what is that item and how to fill this detail. So having said that, yes, it is important to fill correct data in this table. But if you ask me practically or legally, these tables have not much relevance. But department considers that if these figures are not filled properly and the difference is arising, then they may issue show cause notice on that basis. Then 8G, IGST paid on import of goods. This is basically whatever data is flowing from IceGate, because on import of goods you pay IGST. And then IGST credit availed on such import of goods. Okay, so what they are comparing is whatever IGST you have paid on import of goods, and out of that how much you have availed the credit, and that difference they are showing in table 8I. In 8J they are showing that ITC available but not availed on import of goods. So what department feels that as per IceGate portal, you have imported certain goods, and on that you have paid IGST. That was ITC available to you. But you have claimed lesser ITC, so that they will show in 8J, and in 8K they say total ITC to be lapsed. So according to them, it will be lapsed. Now, see, I'll give you a very simple example. I have imported certain goods on 31st March, 30th March. I filed bill of entry and I have paid IGST on that. Now, at the time of import, the goods are lying at the port. I have still not received it in my factory. Okay, so in table 8G, I will show that is the IGST paid on import of goods during the year 21-22. But I will claim the ITC only when these goods are appearing, when these goods have reached my factory or my premises. So credit of that, I may claim it in next year. But if you fill the details as asked in this form, the department will feel that this credit you have not claimed and this is lapsed. I don't know from where they have got this lapsing provision for this. There is no such condition. In fact, for import of goods, so there is no time limit also. So again, I'm repeating, this table has very zero legal relevance, but practically department considers this as sacrosanct, and they may issue you a show cause notice on the basis of this table. Yes, someone has written there are many differences in IGST as per IceGate and actual IGST. What to do in such cases? You have to show the actual IGST, not as per IceGate if it is showing incorrect values. IceGate data is not properly flowing actually in your IGST table. Yes, you want to ask something, NJ Karya?
हेलो
Yeah.
सो मेरा क्वेश्चन वापस 8A से रिलेटेड है. जो ऑटो पॉपुलेट हो रहा है 2A से, वो क्रेडिट नोट कंसिडर करके हो रहा है फिगर, और जो 8B में रिफ्लेक्ट हो रहा है वो सीधा 6B से आ रहा है विदाउट कंसिडरिंग द रिवर्सल्स. तो इसकी वजह से भी नेगेटिव डिफरेंस आता है, तो उसको कैसे डील करें?
6B में आप ऊपर जो भी क्रेडिट अवेल कर रहे हो वो आएगा. और वहां पे भी आप नेट ऑफ करके क्रेडिट नोट ले रहे हो. अगर आपने रिवर्सल करके कुछ अलग से दिखाया है,
हाँ जी,
तो आपने टेबल 7 में उसको दिखाया होगा.
हाँ, क्योंकि 6 में जो फिगर आ रहा है वो सिर्फ 4A 3B का है, वो कंसिडर कर रहा है, रिवर्सल्स नहीं ले रहा वो.
नहीं, एक्चुअली 6B में भी आपको नेट ऑफ क्रेडिट डेबिट नोट्स ही दिखाना है. तो 8A में भी जो आप बोल रहे हो नेट ऑफ क्रेडिट डेबिट नोट्स आ रहा है, इफ यू सी यहाँ पे भी लिखा हुआ है, और 6B में भी इफ यू सी नेट ऑफ क्रेडिट डेबिट नोट्स लिखा हुआ है.
लेकिन जो 6A वाला फिगर है जो ऑटो पॉपुलेट हो रहा है, वो तो सिर्फ 4A टेबल कंसिडर करता है ना 3B का.
नहीं, 3B में भी मैडम नेट ऑफ ही हो रहा है. देखिए 4A, इफ यू कैन सी माय स्क्रीन,
और
यहाँ पे भी जो ITC है, your normal import of goods, import of service, all other ITC, that is net of debit credit notes only. आप उसको सेपरेटली नहीं दिखा रहे हो, तो वो 4A का ही डेटा आपका 6A में आ रहा है, वही डेटा आपका 6B में आ रहा है, वही 8A से कंपेयर हो रहा है.
Okay, got the point.
Yeah. Someone has asked to please explain 8C again. So 8C is basically credit of 21-22, which you have claimed in next year by April to September 22 or by extended time limit of November 22. That figure you have to show it in 8C. Okay. Now coming to table 9. As explained earlier, table 4 gives you a breakup of your outward tax liability. Applies on which tax is to be paid plus your RCM liability. All that is computed in table 4N. Okay. So this 4N में जो table जो table 9. Then they will compare that with the tax paid. Tax paid through cash, tax paid through ITC. That will come auto-populated and freezed from that will be compared with this and it will be checked whether the tax has been duly paid or not. Okay. Someone has asked that as per circular number 170, you should report credit note in 4B2. That circular applies from 22-23 year, not in 21-22. In 21-22, everyone must have shown net of credit debit notes only. No one shows that separately because there is no separate table for that. During the year 21-22 for credit note, there was no separate table.
बट सर क्रेडिट डेबिट नोट जो 2B में रिफ्लेक्ट होती थी वो 4B में ऑटो पॉपुलेट होता था ना 3B में, तो उसी वजह से मुझे कंफ्यूजन हो रहा था कि क्योंकि
नहीं ऊपर ही आप नेट ऑफ लेते हो, 4B में कहाँ पे हो रहा था?
अदर्स पे क्रेडिट नोट आ रहा था.
अदर्स में क्रेडिट नोट नहीं आता है, आप ऊपर जो ITC अवेल करते हैं उसी में आप लेते हैं. आप कुछ ITC रिवर्स कर रहे हैं on account of reason other than 38, 42, 43, वही सिर्फ वहां पे आता था.
ओके.
जैसे 37 वाला जो 180 डेज वाला होता है, that will come over here in others.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, after that table, part 5 of GSTR9 is table 10, 11, 12, 13. These are basically your particulars of transactions declared after the end of the financial year. Okay, so for the period 21-22, whatever you have declared from April to September or extended period of November, any supplies, any additions, any amendments which is increasing your tax liability, you will show in table 10. Any reduction you will show in table 11. And any reversal of ITC which you have availed last year, you will show in table 12. Any ITC of last year which you have claimed now will come in table 13. So see, ऊपर भी हमने table 8C, credit of 21-22 which you have claimed later, you show it in table 8C. 13 maybe again you have to show that. But apart from that, see table 8C जो था ना, that was only for B2B normal supplies. It did not include, because that was comparing with GSTR2A, so it did not include RCM. But in table 13, you have to include even RCM supplies. And that you have to, if you have claimed any normal or RCM supplies in 22-23 within the prescribed time limit, that will come in table 13. So basically 10, 11, 12, 13 is with respect to reflecting transactions of 21-22, which have been carried out in 22-23. Any difference on account of whatever you have declared in 10, 11, sorry, any tax liability is there, then you have to show that amount in table 14, tax payable and paid. If you have already paid, you will show the amount paid also. Otherwise, you will show it only in payable amount. Table 15 is optional. We are not going to discuss. Basically, these are particulars of demands and refunds. If you want to show that details, it is advisable not to show it unnecessary, because these are all optional data, and I don't know how the department will use this information in what format. So it is always advisable not to fill these details. Again, table 16 is optional, should not be filled at all. Table 17 was optional up to 2021, but from 21-22 for outward supplies, you have to report HSN wise summary. If your turnover is above 5 crores, then 6-digit level HSN summary details are to be given. And if it is up to 5 crores, then up to 4-digit level HSN summaries for all B2B supplies only. That information is to be given in table 17. Now it has become mandatory for this year. So till last year it was optional, but now it is mandatory. And table 18 is HSN wise summary of inward supplies. This is again optional, so please don't fill these details. And this is very difficult also to identify. No one records the HSN details of the inward supplies which I am getting. That is hardly anyone which will show it. Mr. Chimanlal has asked invoice amendments with values of last year in 21-22, which was already reported in 10-11 and 9 of last year. Sir, I'm coming to it. Just give me 5 more minutes. I'm discussing all these scenarios in my PPT. Okay. So, and then late fees payable and paid, that will come in table 19. Any late fees with respect to your GSTR9, that will show it over here. Now I'll come back to my PPT. Someone has asked, should we amend tax payable in table 9 as per table 4? Whatever value is coming in table 4N, that should come as your tax payable in table 9 of GSTR9. Can you please explain table 12 and 13 again? Should we report corrections of financial year 2021 made in 3B of 21-22? You have to report any ITC claim of 21-22 which you have done in 22-23, or any reversal of ITC of 21-22 which you have done in 22-23. That you have to show it in table 12 and 13. My screen is visible, this PPT?
Yes, it is.
Yes, visible.
Yeah. This slide, annual return summary is there on your screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I've summarized some very common questions which usually come while filing GSTR9. See, first is basic. Invoice value of 500 is correctly shown in GSTR3B and GSTR1. Okay, so I have shown in 3B, shown in GSTR1. I will show it in table 4 of GSTR9. 4 mein wo 4 B, C, D, E, jahan bhi jayega, there I will show it. No confusion, this is straightforward case. Okay. Now next is B2B invoice of 100 rupees shown in GSTR1 and 3B in the month of September 21, and then it is amended to 150 in the month of February 22. So 100 rupees का invoice मैंने September 21 में दिखाया, उसको amend करके 150 कर दिया in February 22. Now both the transactions are happening in the same financial year 21-22. So what I will do is 4B में I will show 100 rupees. And 4K amendment में I will show 50 rupees. So total मेरा 150 rupees ऐसे declare हो जाएगा in table 4 itself. Next is invoice of 100 rupees shown in GSTR 1 and 3B in September 21 and amended to 150 in month of April 22. So there is a slight difference. In example 2, the amendment was happening in same financial year, that is in Feb 22. In example 3, the amendment is happening in next financial year. So what I will do is 100 rupees, I will show it in table 4B to E, and the amendment of 50 rupees, that is the differential value, I will show it in table 10. Next is invoice value of rupees 100 pertaining to financial year 21-22 shown in April 22 of GSTR 3B and 1. तो आपने 3B and 1 में ड्यूरिंग द ईयर दिखाया ही नहीं, सीधा उसको अप्रैल 22 के 3B and 1 में दिखाया, तो आप टेबल 4 में उसको रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं करोगे. Why you will not reflect it in table 4? Because if you will reflect that value in table 4, then table 9 में आपका टैक्स पेएबल उतना आ जाएगा, आपका टैक्स पेड जो है 3B से मैच नहीं होगा, and it will appear that you have short paid the tax. Whereas you will show it in table 10 and you have already paid the tax on that in April 22. So that value will get reflected as payable in table 14 and tax paid in table 14, and it will match. So if you have shown the invoice after the end of the year in 3B and 1, then you please declare directly in table 10-11 and not in table 4. Invoice of rupees 100 pertaining to 21-22 not shown in 3B and 1 till date. See, example 4 में क्या था, आपने 21-22 का ट्रांजैक्शन नहीं दिखाया, लेकिन आपने उसको अप्रैल 22 में जाके डिक्लेयर कर दिया, तो आप टेबल 10 में दिखाओगे, but you have not shown at all, and now you have identified that at the time of filing GSTR9C. In such case, you will show it in table 4 itself, that 100 rupees. In table 9, it will show the tax payable higher by 100 rupees. And then your tax paid will be lower and you will pay the tax through DRC03. Next is invoice of rupees 100 shown in GSTR1 in the month of Feb 22. However, the same is shown in GSTR3B of April 22. Okay, over here, the crucial part is that GSTR1 में तो आपने दिखा दिया था 100 rupees during the year, but उसका tax आपने April 22 में भरा. So don't show it in table 4, because table 4 में आप दिखाओगे तो again, as I said, table 9 में आपका difference दिखेगा and your tax payable with paid with will not match. So you directly show this invoice in table 10, 100 rupees, and it will match with your amount paid because you have paid it in April 22. Now invoice of 100 rupees is shown in 3B in 21-22, but it is not shown in GSTR1. So आपने 3B में during the year दिखा दिया, आप table 4 में उसको दिखा दो. Table 4 में once you will show it, your tax payable will match with tax paid in table 9, and there will be no liability arising out of annual return. Invoice of rupees 100 shown in GSTR1 during 21-22, but the same is not shown in GSTR3B at all. So 1 में तो आपने दिखा दिया, 3B में आपने दिखाया ही नहीं है कभी भी. That means आपने उस पे tax pay नहीं किया है, तो आप table 4 में उसको दिखा दो, and you will pay the tax and show the differential value in table 9. Invoice of 100 pertaining to 21-22 shown in April 22 in GSTR1, but GST3B not, but you have not paid it in GST3B till date. अब इसको आपने April 22 में दिखा दिया है in GSTR1. That is why you show it in table 10, and you pay the differential amount by showing the difference in table 14, because you have not paid it in 3B till date. I think this will cover all the scenarios. I'm assuming most of the scenarios where tax of previous year is paid in next year, part tax is paid in next year, or shown in 1 and 3B in part year, partly shown in next year. So any questions with respect to this, I think we can take it right now, so that this makes it clear. After this, because we'll be then moving on to 9C. There is one question, credit note pertaining to 21-22 not shown till date in 1 and 3B. That is lost if you have not shown it in 1 or 3B, because as per section 34(2) you were supposed to show it. Then that benefit is lost.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, if we are not able to compile the details of amendments made, Can we show the total turnover in table 4 itself?
Yeah,
I mean,
if you are
4
unable to amendments, that is after the end of the year or during the year you are saying?
during the year.
Then you can compile it and show it from 4B to 4H itself.
Yeah.
4
Okay, thank you.
हेलो अर्चित जी.
4, yeah.
हेलो हेलो अर्चित जी, आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ बोलिए.
सर, अभी जो आपने मुझे जो आपने सिखाया आउटवर्ड लायबिलिटी वाला, जो कैसे शो करना है, उसको आरसीएम के केस में कैसे दिखाएंगे अपन? अगर मैंने
आरसीएम अगर आपका कोई मिस हो गया है
जी,
तो आप 4G में उसको डायरेक्टली दिखाएंगे.
बट 4G में दिखाऊंगा तो सर मेरे को टैक्स पेबल भी मेरा बढ़ेगा ना, और मेरा डिफरेंस
बिल्कुल, आपका मिस हो गया है तो टैक्स तो पे करना ही है. तो आपका GSTR9 के टेबल 9 में आपका टैक्स पेबल उतना बढ़ जाएगा और आप वो उसको पे करेंगे.
मैंने उसको सितंबर का जो रिटर्न मैंने फाइल किया है ना, उसमें मैंने पे कर दिया है आरसीएम.
आपने ऑलरेडी पे कर दिया है तो आप टेबल 10 में दिखाएंगे.
टेबल 10 में सर किसमें? क्योंकि वो आउटवर्ड सप्लाई तो नहीं है मेरा.
दैट्स ओके.
तो
दैट
उसको
इज
मैं
टू
आउटवर्ड
टेक केयर ऑफ योर इवन योर आरसीएम लाइन.
ओके, सो मेरा आउटवर्ड सप्लाई में ऐड हो जाएगा, राइट?
यस.
और थैंक यू सर. और सर एक और क्वेरी था, लाइक जैसे आप बता रहे हैं ना कि R1 में नहीं है, 3B में नहीं, तो नेक्स्ट ईयर में तो उसको दिखाना नहीं दिखाना है. व्हाट इफ द केस इज ऑफ प्रीवियस ईयर का? अगर प्रीवियस ईयर में मेरा सिनेरियो है तो कैसे होगा उसको डिस्प्ले?
क्या है प्रीवियस ईयर का एग्जांपल दीजिए.
जैसे कि मैंने R1 में दिखा दिया था लास्ट ईयर, बट टैक्स पे नहीं किया. टैक्स मैंने अप्रैल मई में पे किया है.
तो इस साल के 9 में नहीं आएगा वो.
मतलब नहीं दिखाना ना, क्योंकि वो डिफरेंस वो एक्स्ट्रा दिखेगा मेरा पेड मतलब.
वो नहीं दिखा.
ओके, थैंक यू सर. थैंक यू.
So that covers GSTR9. Now we'll come to 9C. I'll just take a break of 1 minute and I'll come back, please. Just take a break of 1 minute.
मीटिंग चालू है, क्या कर रहे हो?
Yes, shall we continue? So now coming to 9C, what is important to understand is that GSTR9 is your base actually for 9C, because the whole purpose of 9C is to compare your books with what you have shown in GSTR9. Okay, all your liabilities, everything comes in GSTR9, that is compared with the books, because a person may show ad hoc liability in GSTR9. Unless that is reconciled with books, the department or the government will not get comfort that yes, the entire taxes have been duly paid by the SSE or they have taken proper credit. That is the whole purpose of GSTR9C. So if you see this on the screen, first is table 5A, turnover as per audited financial statements of the state. Under units under same PAN, the turnover shall be derived from the audited financial statement. Now this is the first starting table. So basically, from your financials, you have to pick the turnover as per books that you will show in table 5A. And then, if you see, there are various items, 5B, unbilled revenue at the beginning of the year, you will add, unadjusted advances at the end of the financial year, you will add. Then there are 5EF, all these things you will add less. In the end, 5P में you will show annual turnover after adjustments as above. तो ये सब add less करने के बाद 5P में जो figure आएगा, that will be compared with your turnover as declared in annual return 5Q में, and then 5R will show your unreconciled difference. So I'll give you an example. See, your books is showing a turnover of 100 rupees. Okay, तो आप 5A में क्या करोगे, 100 rupees दिखाओगे. But एडवांसेस पे भी आपने जीएसटी भरा है, ठीक है, एडवांस फॉर सर्विसेज पे यू हैव पेड जीएसटी, दैट विल नॉट फॉर्म पार्ट ऑफ योर टर्नओवर. व्हाई इट इज नॉट कमिंग एज योर सेल्स, इट इज merely an advance, it is a balance sheet item. 20 रुपीस का एडवांसेस है, तो आप 5C में 20 रुपीस दिखाओगे तो 100 5A में आ गया, 20 रुपीस 5C में आ गया, unadjusted advances at the end of the financial year, it will get added. Your total will become 120, which will come in table 5P. And then your turnover as declared in GSTR9 should also be 120. Now suppose आपने advances पे tax नहीं भरा है, so what will happen? Your GSTR9 will show 100 rupees, because that is what the details you have declared over there. In such a scenario, it will show unreconciled difference of 20 rupees, and department can identify, okay, this is the reason where you have not paid the tax, or there is an interest liability or whatever. So in short, either you will show 120 in GSTR9 itself. If you show in GSTR9 120 itself, GSTR9 के table 9 में it will identify on its own कि 120 आपने जो tax payable दिखाया है, is it matching with the tax paid what you have shown in GSTR3B. So either in GSTR9 table 9 you will get caught, or in table 5 you will get caught. What I mean to say being getting caught is basically if there is any lapse on the part of the SSE of not paying the taxes. That is the whole idea behind which by which they have designed GSTR9 and 9C. Okay, now we'll see each of these headings. What is there? 5A, as we discussed, basically you have to derive 9C is to be filed state-wise. So 5A, 9 GSTR9 data, 9C data, everything you will file state-wise turnover. Now what happens is your financial statements are made for the entire company, and many SSEs after GST made state-wise trial balance, but some SSEs still don't have it. So because of that, there will be a challenge to derive the state-wise turnover. As a consultant or as an auditor of the company, our responsibility is to make sure that the client does not give us some incorrect information. Now, this happened in one of the cases where we found out that the turnover as per financials was say 1 crore rupees, and the SSE showed that in GSTR that
पहले अटेंड करता था कैसे नहीं मतलब ये सब कुछ
हाँ. So what the SSE did was, in Maharashtra they showed 40 lakh rupees, and they said ki balance 60 lakhs I have shown it in GSTR9C of Gujarat. In Gujarat also they showed 40 lakh rupees, and they said ki in Maharashtra we have shown GSTR9C में 60 lakh rupees. In short, if you see GSTR9C 5A table of Maharashtra and Gujarat, it will show 40 and 40, 80 lakh rupees. But turnover as per financials is at 1 crore rupees. So as an auditor or as a consultant of the company, if we are appointed for all the states, then of course we will check that the turnover of all the states total matches with the turnover as declared in the books. If you have been appointed only for a particular state, then also you should make sure that for all other states 9C, what is the amount they have shown in table 5A. The total of all the amount shown in table 5A for all the states should match with the amount shown in the financials. That is very important. The turnover over here will be net of debit credit notes, because in the books, your sales figure will be net of after debit notes and credit notes. Now next, in table 5, after 5A, there is 5B. If we come back to this slide. Okay. So unbilled revenue at the beginning of the financial year. Now, why you have to add this unbilled revenue at the beginning of the financial year? See, suppose a company is following a practice of having unbilled revenue. What is that practice? Basically, आपने revenue तो book कर लिया, but आपने उसका bill नहीं बनाया. Okay, bill उसका next year में बनेगा. So many a times what happens? My milestone for works contract service is suppose 15th of every month. तो मैंने 15th Feb से लेके 15th March 14th March तक जो काम किया है उसका bill I will raise on 15th March. Then 15th March से 14th April तक जो काम किया है उसका bill I will raise on 14th April of next year. Okay, but in my books what I am doing, मैंने 15th March से लेके 31st March तक का जो मेरा revenue बनता है, that I have recorded in my books as a revenue. But I have not billed for that. I have not raised a GST invoice for that, because my terms with the customer is that I will bill it after the end of the month on 15th of every month. So what I will do, मेरा revenue तो books में आ गया है, लेकिन मेरा उसका GST invoice नहीं बना. So I need not pay tax on that. But उसका GST invoice next year बनेगा, and to that extent revenue will not be there. So that is why in 5B, any unbilled revenue at the beginning of the financial year will be added, because my turnover as per books will say be only 100 rupees, and there will be some unbilled revenue जिसका revenue last year में book हुआ है. That I will add over here, and I have paid the tax on the entire value. That will be compared with my GSTR9. Okay. Next is unadjusted advances at the end of the financial year. Now, advances figure you have to pick from the liability side of the balance sheet, and you have to see what are the advances at the end of the financial year. If the advances are pertaining to goods, you have to ignore. And then if the advances are pertaining to services, then you have to add that, and you have to show that value in this table 5C, and accordingly you have to compute your tax liability. Next is 5D, deemed supply. This will also be added. See why this will be added. If you start with your turnover in 5A, again coming back to this slide, 5A में जो turnover है, that will show only your sales made to outsiders. If you are making any sales within your company in the sales from Maharashtra GSTN to Gujarat GSTN, if you are making any sales, any supply of goods, then for your books you will not record it as a sales. Otherwise तो circular trading चलता रहेगा, Maharashtra to Gujarat, Gujarat to Rajasthan, Rajasthan to Maharashtra. But for GST purpose, every time there is movement of goods from one state to another, you are raising a tax invoice. So your turnover in 5A will show only 100 rupees, but there are deemed supply as per schedule 1, intercompany, intra-company supplies, all that you have to show it in 5D, and that will match with your turnover as per GSTR9. Now, if there is any deemed supply with related companies which are part of turnover, if it is part of turnover, then you must have already shown it in table 5A, then again you will not show it in 5D, otherwise it will be recorded twice. So only those turnover which are not part of your, only those values which are not part of your turnover and therefore not shown in 5A will come in 5D. Then 5E, you have to reduce credit notes issued after the end of the financial year, but reflected in the annual return. Now, I've given one example, rupees 100 declared as sales in 21-22, but the credit note of rupees 20 is declared in April 22 in the financial statements. Okay, आप annual return में क्या करोगे? उसको table 10-11 जो है, table 11 में you will declare that credit note because it was pertaining to 21-22, and hence your value in GSTR9 will reduce, but your value in 9C will be higher. So that is why such credit notes which are issued after the end of the financial year and declared in annual return, you will reduce. Okay. Now, credit notes which are not eligible for reduction will not be reduced. Say, for example, you have issued a credit note after November. So that credit note, you are not eligible to take the benefit. So such credit note value you will not reduce in table 5 because because such law section 34 does not allow you to reduce the value of such credit. 5F is basically you have to add any trade discounts which are accounted in your financial statements but are not permissible under GST. See, your sales turnover is 100 rupees. It has been reduced by 20 rupees on account of trade discount. So your net sales is showing 80 rupees. Okay. But such trade discounts are suppose not permissible under GST. Then your liability is on 100 rupees only. So in table 5A, when you are starting, you will show 80 rupees. Then you will add back 20 rupees on account of trade discounts which are not permissible. And then you will compare it with 100 rupees, which is shown in GSTR9. Now, what are trade discounts which are not permissible? Say, for example, there is some after sales discount, and if it is not covered by the agreement, then the law says if the discount is not part of the agreement, or if it is after the sales have been made, then you are not entitled to reduce the value. Then in such cases, you will add that back. 5G is not relevant anymore for this year. 5H is unbilled revenue at the end of the financial year. We have already discussed what is unbilled revenue at the beginning of the financial year. So this is just a vice versa of that. At the beginning of the financial year, you have to add it, and at the end of the financial year, you will reduce it. Why you will reduce it? Because you have not paid tax on that. The revenue is just recorded in your books, but it is not yet billed to the client. And since it is not yet billed, there is no question of paying GST on that. There could be some notional revenue booked on account of Ind AS adjustments. All such items will be reduced over here in 5H. 5I is unadjusted advances at the beginning of the financial year. This is also vice versa situation of 5C, because on advances at the end of the financial year, you pay the tax. You add it and you pay the tax. So at the beginning of the financial year, you will reduce it for the RICO purpose. Next is credit notes accounted for in financial statements but are not permissible under GST. This is again vice versa of 5B, and this is also similar what we see in 5F, trade discount. Like trade discount, you have reduced from your financial statements your sales figure, but they are not permissible under GST. Then you have to add that value back. Okay. Next is adjustment on account of supply of goods by SEZ to DTA units. Now this 5K applies only to an assessee who is having an SEZ registration. For normal registration, this does not apply. And why this is applicable, why they will have to reduce the value? Because they don't pay the tax on this. See, they will record their sales. SEZ is supplying goods to DTA. In their books, the sales will be recorded. But the tax on that is paid by the DTA unit under RCM basis by filing bill of entry. Therefore, for the purpose of GSTR9C RICO, that value will be reduced. Next is 5L, turnover for the period under composition scheme. See, this is applicable when you were under the composition scheme earlier, and then you became a normal taxpayer. So in such cases, the value which has been shown under GSTR4 or GSTR9A as a composite taxpayer, that you have to show it over here in 5L and you have to reduce that value. That is, so again, I'll repeat that this is applicable only when you have switched from composition to normal taxable person during the year, because your financials will show only one income, total sales. But for GSTR9 purpose, you will have two separate forms for your annual return purpose, GSTR9 and 9A, and therefore that value will be reduced while comparing it with your 9C. Next is adjustment in turnover under section 15. This is add as well as less, both is covered over here. Section 15 is your valuation provisions. Now, there are various reasons because of which the value as per GST will not match with the value as shown in financials. Say, for example, I'm giving some property on rent and I'm collecting property tax also from the lessee. Okay. Now, in your financials, what will you do? Property tax, you will show it as an expense. And you will show that property tax recovered from the lessee by reducing the value of your expense itself. You will not show it as an income. Okay. But for GST purpose, valuation rule says that any other taxes apart from GST, when you are recovering from your service recipient, you have to add that value and charge GST on that. So if I'm charging GST on property tax, that value I have to add while showing it in 9C, because my financials will not have that as a turnover, but for GST purpose, it will be added. Out-of-pocket expenses not covered by pure agent. Now, there are some out-of-pocket expenses you incur. I'm traveling to say Delhi for attending one client's hearing. So while traveling to Delhi, I have incurred some out-of-pocket expenses, airfare, hotel stay, etc. Okay. Now, these are not pure agent. So what will I do in my books? In my books, I will record it as an expense, and then when I'll recover it from the client, I will reduce it from my expense. Okay. But under GST, I have charged GST to my client. So again, I will add it in table 5M, because this is on account of valuation rules. This difference has arisen. Dealer of second-hand goods. The law says that a second-hand goods dealer needs to pay tax only on the differential margin which he earns. I am a dealer in second-hand goods. I buy scrap at 100 rupees and sell it at 110. Okay. In my books, the turnover will be 110. But in GST, my tax liability will be only on 10 rupees. So in table 5M, I will show minus 100 rupees. Okay. Air travel service provider, basically airlines. Their turnover will be altogether different in their books, their sales value. But for GST purpose, they pay tax only on basic fare. So these are the various scenarios. There could be n number of such cases where the value as per books and value as per GST will be different. So in such cases, the difference you have to show it in table 5M. 5N, adjustment in turnover due to foreign exchange fluctuation. See, please note over here, the foreign exchange fluctuation account difference will not be reflected. Whenever we are, suppose I'm exporting certain services, I've raised an invoice of $100. In my books, I will record it at, say, $100. I will record it at 80,000 rupees. 8,000 rupees, sorry. Okay. Now that 8,000 rupees is what I will declare in my GSTR1 also. And that 8,000 rupees is what will be declared in my GSTR9 also. So my books is showing 8,000 rupees. My GSTR9 is also showing 8,000 rupees. It is matching. But while receiving the payment from the customer, the exchange rate has increased to 81 or 79. It has reduced. So that difference, because of my banking difference, what is coming in my bank account, because of that difference, I show it in my foreign exchange fluctuation gain or loss. That has no impact in the value which I show in my GSTR1, GSTR9 or GSTR9C. Therefore, this adjustment in turnover due to foreign exchange fluctuation will not be picked up from foreign exchange fluctuation account. One example which can come over here is in case of export of goods. I show the value in GST as per customs rate. Okay. If I'm recording that same custom rate in my books as sales, then again no difference. But in my book, suppose I'm adopting some other ad hoc rate for recording this export of goods, and I'm not following that customs rate. That difference in turnover due to foreign exchange difference will come over. 5.0 is adjustment in turnover due to reasons not listed above. See, the government, while designing the Form 9C, has thought of various reasons because of which there could be differences which they have incorporated in 5B to 5N. Okay, but it is possible for your business or for some particular transaction, there is a difference, logical difference, but which is not listed in 5B to 5N. In such cases, you can show it in 5.0 for any other reasons not listed above. Say, for example, you have sold a car and as per the notification, you have to pay GST only on margin value. That is your income tax depreciated value and your sale price, the difference between that. So now that is not covered in any of the reasons listed above. And your car sale will be directly removed from your fixed asset register. It is not forming part of your turnover. So therefore, you will show it in table 5.0. Any bad debts you had shown in earlier years, it has come as a recovery. You have been able to recover that. That will come as an income in your books. In such cases, you will show it in 5.0. Any income which is part of your balance sheet item, which is not part of your turnover, again will come as any other item in 5.0. So this is basically what is covered in table 5. If we see, the 5A was the starting point from books, and then after various adjustments, we come to 5P. It will be compared with your turnover in 5Q, and it will show any unreconciled difference in 5R. Ideally, there should not be any difference, but it is not possible that all the time there will be no difference. If there is any difference, then you will show it in 5R, and you can explain that difference in table 6. In table 6 of GSTR9C, you can give the reason why there is an unreconciled difference in your turnover shown in table 5. Then when you come to table 7, what they have done is, whatever difference is appearing, whatever turnover you have shown in table 5 can be on account of taxable supplies as well as exempt supplies. So in table 7, they have removed all your exempt supplies, and then they will compare. So if you see table 7A is annual turnover after adjustment from 5P above. So from table 5, they will pick that annual turnover, your turnover. Then the value of exempt supplies, nil rated, non-GST supplies, zero rated supplies, your supplies on which tax is payable under RCM, all these will be reduced. And your turnover will then be compared with the taxable turnover as per 9. So your difference in table 5 does not mean necessarily that any tax is payable. When you come to table 5R, this difference can be also on account of any exempt supplies. Then the department is not much concerned. But in table 7, you are reducing all your exempt supplies. Okay. And after that, if there is any difference, that means there is a difference in your taxable value. In such case, you will have to explain why there is a difference. So interest income, high C sales income, all these land sale income, all these are exempt or non-GST supplies, which you have to show it in table 7B. Kindly note that any interest charged for any delayed payment of consideration to the customer, you have raised an invoice on the customer, and the customer has failed to pay on time. Because of that, you are charging any interest. That is not exempt. That is a taxable item. That you should not reduce from your tax liability or in table 7. All other items you will reduce, and then any difference if is arising, you will show it in table 8, where you can explain the reason. Now, if in table 8 there is a difference, that means there is a difference on account of taxable supplies, because all your exempt has been removed in table 7 itself. Next is table 9. If you see table 5 and 7, they cover only your taxable value. they do not see any difference on account of tax rate. So table 9 will cover all your differences on account of tax rate. So over here, what you have to do is you have to give the details of all your tax liabilities rate wise. 5% outward supply, 5% reverse charge, 12% normal, 12% reverse charge, the taxable value and the tax payable. Okay, 5%, 0.25, 0.1%, all these will be compared. And in 5P, if you see total amount to be paid as per above tables, this will be compared with total amount paid as per table 9 in GSTR9. So what they are doing is your tax liability on the basis of your tax rate on the taxable value, they will compare with the tax you have already paid in GSTR9, and any difference thereof you have to explain in table 10. And if there is a difference because of delay in payment of tax or anything, then you have to compute the interest liability on that. Now table 11 is for basically voluntary. You want to pay, you want to declare any tax which you have not paid, and because of difference arising in table 6, 8 and 10, which we have discussed above. So any additional amount which is payable but which has not been paid, that you can show in table 11 of 9C, and accordingly tax can be paid. Next important table is 12. See, till now 9C was covering only all your outward supplies. Now table 12, the starting point is ITC as per audited financial statements. So this is like 12 is like 5A, where you have to start with your records as per book. You will show the value, what is coming as per books, ITC availed as per books. This is again state-wise you have to derive, and within state also there could be SEZ business, so there will be a separate registration for that. So that also you have to identify separately and show it over there. Then in table 12B, ITC booked in earlier year, which is claimed in current year, that you have to add. So basically, some ITC of 2021 will not form part of your books of 21-22, but you have claimed that credit in 21-22. So such ITC you will have to add it in table 12B. Similarly, ITC of current year, which is claimed in current year in books, but you have claimed it in 3B next year. So that you will reduce and you will show it in table 12C. So 12C is basically reduction because credit of this year you have claimed in next year, and 12B is credit of last year which you have claimed in this year. So 12B में जब आप add कर रहे हो, you should make sure that this amount is matching with 12C of previous year. है ना? Because in 12C last year you have shown that this is credit of 2021 which I am going to claim in 21-22. Okay. If you have reduced something last year, then you can show, okay, in 12B I am claiming it in this year and I am adding it. 12C के example could be like ITC on payment basis. Many companies follow the practice that they don't claim the credit on accrual basis. That is, when they receive the invoice, they don't claim the credit. They don't want to take that risk that payment is not made within 180 days, so they will have to reverse with interest. So they take the credit only when they make the payment. Or ITC for goods received in lots. The law says when you are receiving the goods in lots, you can claim the credit only when you have received the final lot. So if that the final lot is coming in next year, you will claim the credit of that in next year. Then any difference which is arising in table 12, you will compare it and you will show the difference in, you will show the reason for that unreconciled difference in table 13. Again, ideally there should not be any difference, but if any difference is there, you can explain the reason and you can give it in table 13 why there is a difference. What is the reason behind that? If you are unable to reconcile the difference, then department will assume that if there is a positive figure that you have claimed more credit. Table 14 is actually a very draconian table, which most of the SSCs are feared for. And luckily till now, since beginning, they have made this table optional. For 21-22 also, this table 14 of 9C is optional, and it is advised not to fill this table. So we are not going to discuss that. There are many issues in this table. but that is not really important. Table 15, again, any reason for unreconciled difference in table 14, so that is also not to be filled. In table 13, if there is any unreconciled value, that is for ITC table, if there is any unreconciled item and you want to pay that, reverse that ITC, you want to pay that tax, then you can show it in table 16 and pay the amount. Any other additional liability which is not covered by any of the above tables, you can show it in part 5 of 9C. And this is the table for that, including interest, late fee, penalty, and all that. So this summarizes all the tables of 9C as well. And this also covers my presentation. A very thank you for patiently listening. We can discuss any queries.
Anybody who has any queries can raise their hands now. Archit, you've covered all the queries of chat box?
No, I don't think so, because there were many queries, very long queries. So I thought if I'll...
We can go through the last few ones if you would like. The last ones. ITC. Okay, are there any more? There are queries. People are putting in the chat box.
Can you please confirm turnover to be reported in 5A, whether consolidated turnover of all branch 5A of Pan India is to be reported, or turnover of Maharashtra branch only? If you are filing, whichever state you are filing, you have to report the turnover in 5A only for that particular state, not the consolidated turnover of all India. So please explain table 8BC of GSTR9 again. So table 8A is an auto-populated figure which shows whatever is coming through 2A basically will come in table 8A. And then in 8B, whatever you have claimed in 3B, that will also be auto-populated and shown in table 8B. 8C is what is credit of current year you have claimed in next year. That you have to fill the details on your own. So 8A is compared with B and C. And if B and C value is higher than 8A, then the department assumes that you have claimed credit more than what is appearing in your 2A. That is the purpose of 8A, B, and C. But 8A and B are auto-fill. You cannot fill it. 8C is something. 8C is something you have to fill. Sir, I made amendment in credit note in September 22. Where to show? So this is for 21-22. If you have shown in September 22 the credit note, you will show it in table 11 of GSTR9. Do we need to report IGST paid on import pertaining to FY 21-22 claimed in 3B of September 22? No, if you have claimed it in September 22, then it will not form part of your 21-22. The credit notes that are shown in 2B are shown in table 4B, others of GSTR 3B. This is some new form you are talking about. In 21-22, the old form was there. The credit notes were part of table 4A itself, and hence it was covered in table 6B and consequently in table 8A also. IC sales should be reported in GSTR9. Yes, it should be reported as non-GST supply in GSTR9. ITC of import of 2021 availed in 21-22 then you will have to show it in 21-22 itself, because in 3B6A you have claimed that credit. You have to give that breakup in 6. One second. So 2021 ka IGST on import of goods you will show in 6E. Sir, if I have not claimed any credit in last year, but credit was shown in last year to a now current year, can I claim credit in month of May 22? Where to show that credit? If you have not claimed last year, if you May 22 तो जा चुका है, अगर आपने May 22 में claim कर लिया तो it's fair enough, and you will show it in table 13 of GSTR9. If annual return is wrongly filed in 18-19, can we take CA certified manual annual return? Yes, you should do that. If you have filled some wrong details, you manually prepare fresh GSTR9C and you write a letter to the department and you file it stating that you have filed the wrong 99C and hence you want to revise it. What if few credits of GSTR2A are not reflecting in 8A? It is quite possible. Data is not flowing correctly in 8A, but you can't do much about it. You can write to help desk. Eventually, department may trouble you, but eventually credit is eligible to you legally, what is there with you. To be is to be considered from January 22 up to December 21, the law prescribed 2A, but in table 8A, they are still referring to 2A. So they are picking the data from 2A itself. Mr. Mohsin, you have to, whatever you have claimed in 21-22, in 3B, that is what you have to show it over here in table 6E. There will be negative differences and consequence of negative. Mr. Yogesh, yes, there will be negative difference. But as I said, the table 8 is designed in such a manner, I don't know what they are trying to achieve. But that is the correct method of showing it. If there is a negative difference, you will have to explain if department raises a query on that. Yes, Santosh Prajapati ji, you can unmute. Mr. Abhishek, yes, invoice of last year, which was reported in 10-11 of last year. If those pertain to last year only, then again you need not report it in this year table 4K. If that supply is of current year, if that income is booked in current year, only then you have to show it in table 4K or 4N.
हेलो हेलो
हेलो
हाँ सर, आप सुन पा रहे हो? हेलो
हेलो, या
हाँ सर, एक पूछना था मुझे कि जैसे बीच में मैडम ने एक पूछा था कि 6A में जो फिगर अभी आ रही है ना, हेलो हाँ, तो 6A में एक्चुअली मुझे ये कहना था कि मेरा टेबल नंबर 6A में ITC जो आ रहा है ना, जो विदाउट रिवर्सल और अमेंडेड कुछ भी होता है ना,
तो उसके बिना जो अमाउंट दिखता है ना वही आ रहा है। जैसे कि सपोज मेरा IGST 20,000, पूरे साल में मैंने कोई भी एड लिस्ट किया है तो 20,000 का 10,000 हुआ। CGST में भी 15,000 की जगह पे 12,000 आया, नेट इफेक्ट में बोल रहा हूँ। लेकिन यहाँ पे 6A में मेरा फिगर वही दिख रहा है जो मेरा विदाउट अमेंडेड है ना, वही दिख रहा है यहाँ पे फिगर।
आपने कोई भी रिवर्सल अगर किया है 3B में तो वो आप टेबल 7 में दिखाओगे। आपने जितना भी क्लेम किया है 3B में टेबल 4A में उतना आप पूरा 6A में आएगा, उसका ब्रेकअप आप 6B से 6H में दिखाओ।
वो तो मैं एनुअल रिटर्न में 9 में 7 में बताऊंगा, लेकिन मैं ये बोल रहा था कि 3B में जैसे कि ऑटोमेटिकली सामने वाली पार्टी क्रेडिट नोट बताती है तो मेरा उधर रिवर्सल में जाता है अमाउंट। ITC का अमाउंट में ऊपर डाला 1,80,000 और
वो
मेरा
2A में जाता है, वो 3B में आप उसको रिवर्सल में नहीं दिखाते, आप नेट ITC लेते।
नहीं, अभी मैंने सपोज रिवर्सल में किया है ना, तो मेरा क्या हो रहा है 1,80,000
रिवर्सल में किया है तो आप 6A में आपका हायर वैल्यू दिख रहा है, आप वही वैल्यू का ब्रेकअप दोगे 6B to 6H में, और रिवर्सल का आप अलग से नीचे टेबल 7 में दिखाओ।
टेबल 7 में जितना भी मेरा रिवर्सल का है वो मैं वहां पे बताऊं।
जो आपने 3B में अलग से रिवर्सल दिखाया है वो टेबल 7 में आएगा।
ओके सर, थैंक यू।
हेलो,
या
क्या आप सुन पा रहे हो मुझे?
यस।
हाँ, तो टेबल 6A में जो हम लोग ये रिप्रेजेंटेशन करते हैं, ये जो फिगर आते हैं मेरे 3B के, तो इसमें से मेरा ओपनिंग फिगर माइनस होना चाहिए?
नहीं, 6A में ऑटोमेटिक वो फिगर आता है जो इस साल का आपने क्रेडिट क्लेम किया है, वो ओपनिंग को माइनस नहीं करता है और उसका आपको ब्रेकअप देना है।
अच्छा, ओके। और एक है 9C में टेबल 5N में एग्जैक्टली हम लोग को फॉरेन फ्लक्चुएशन में क्या दिखाना है?
9C में टेबल
9C में टेबल
फॉरेन एक्सचेंज
5N।
फ्लक्चुएशन वाला,
हाँ,
वो मैंने
हाँ।
एग्जांपल दिया ना, एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स के सामने अगर आपने कस्टम रेट के बदले अगर कुछ और लिया है, ऐसा कुछ है तो। अदरवाइज आपका टर्नओवर एज पर बुक्स एंड टर्नओवर एज पर GST रिटर्न्स विल बी सेम। फॉरेन एक्सचेंज फ्लक्चुएशन की वजह से आपका सिर्फ बैंक अकाउंट का वैल्यू जो है वो वैल्यू और योर इनवॉइस वैल्यू डज नॉट मैच, दैट इज व्हाई फॉरेन एक्सचेंज फ्लक्चुएशन अकाउंट इज क्रिएटेड।
ओके, तो नॉर्मल जो मेरा फॉरेन फ्लक्चुएशन अकाउंट है उसका अमाउंट यहाँ पे रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं होगा।
यू आर राइट।
ओके, थैंक यू, थैंक यू।
Are there any more queries from the participants?
I think we can conclude.
I think we can, yes, that is what I was saying. We can conclude now. Thank you, Archit ji, for your very detailed presentation. This is the first time in this year that we have had more than 300 participants in an online event. Thank you so much for your time and efforts. Now, also, I would like to thank all the members who have joined in and made it interesting and a success. I would also like to call upon C. Rahul Dagaji for proposing a formal vote of thanks on behalf of the JV Nagar Study Circle.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I think Mr. Rakesh, somebody is unmuting.
Yes, sorry, I missed out one question I wanted to ask.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, my question was that of FY 2021 ITC, it may be discussed, I'm not sure. 2021 ITC, which is claimed in 3B in 21-22, it gets auto-populated in table 6.
Yes.
6A. So we have to claim that entire credit in GSTR9 or reduce that 22.
It is auto-populated, so there is no question of claiming it. It is coming on its own in 6A, and that breakup you have to give in 6B to 6H.
Yes, so be it 2021 ITC, I have to give the breakup.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so all queries are done now. I formally extend a vote of thanks to our speaker today, Archit Agarwal, for throwing light on the topic which was of utmost important and very relevant with his immense knowledge, along with the practical aspects and how to deal the queries and the issues on a practical basis. I thank you, sir. I request everyone for a round of applause today's speaker. Thank you.
Thank you all. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. With permission of all, we would like to close the session.
Thank you.
Thank you.